And then I was signed on, and I was just signed on to the Job Seekers Allowance, what it was called. And I was like, I really want to do a job in music. I was on there for so long that like they put you on these courses, and I was like, oh, these courses are rubbish. Like, there was one in there though, and it caught my eye, and it was like studio la la la, and I went there. I went for the interview, and he was like, basically, based on your CV and the way it went, you learn we can't teach you anything you don't already know, but. He goes like, if you go and get a job, just get any little job, go and work in a supermarket part-time, get yourself signed off. He gets his tick, so he gets paid. In return, I will help you, mentor you in music world. And we discovered that I had an idea of starting up a record label. It was like a studio in Maida Vale.
Yeah.
In Maida Vale, like Little Venice. I really wish I could remember the guy's name, because I've been trying to find, because he helped me at a pivotal point in my life. He said, if you go and get a job, just go to the job centre and say yes to any job, get signed off, come back here, off the books, and I will mentor you.
That's cool.
And in the conversation, he worked out that I would like to set up a record label. So I did that, and I started working at Marks & Spencer's. That did a 1 day a week. I was getting equivalent amount of money as I was getting before. Yes, I had to work. However, in the days off, I was in there. He told me resources, how to do this, At this point, it's digital world, so you're doing the music on the internet, not on vinyl. And on vinyl.
No, but it's coming in then. That's probably a good period to
start.
Yeah.
So, and he helped me a lot with all that, and really did help mentor me into getting a record label set up. At that point, I felt ready, and I was going to... at the time, I'd actually set up my own online radio station. I won't go into that because it's not that... I did it, and for about a year, I just really enjoyed the geekery behind it, because I'm a bit of a nerd like that. And I designed it because I had the design experience and learned about coding. The important part was that there was already a community on there of DJs and artists, and they would send me their songs, and I wanted to sign them and release them. And one of the artists on there, his name was Junior Blue. Out of all of them, he was really talented, and I wanted to sign his music. And there was another guy called Jekyll, and I wanted to sign both of their music, and I was going to call it Z Recordings, and I designed a logo, and I was like, boom, let's do it. Then I realised, just before doing it, there's already a record label called Z Recordings. Did my research. A lot of people don't do that nowadays. So then I had to rethink it a little bit, and that conversation went on a little bit, and by that point, Junior Blue was like, I would like to do it with you. He was a graphic designer, way better than me. I was still in my very inexperienced years of graphic design, but I knew what I was doing. And he came on and was doing A&R with me. We were both A&R in it, and we called it Diffrent Music, and that launched in 2010. So we're now at 2010, and now this label was not just putting out any old drum and bass tune. It was called Diffrent Music, and we were just trying to combat the influx of very similar sounding drum and bass that was coming out everywhere. You go to the clubs and it was the same thing. All the DJs are playing the same stuff. However, there was a lot of people in the underground making really experimental, weird, left field stuff, which was just interesting to someone like me. I've always been intrigued about different sounds.
Again, like drum and bass have been around by 2010. It's more like 15 years old, drum and bass. So again, music does go a bit stale after that.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's maybe round at the margins. It's where it's interesting.
Yeah, and it was kind of like stripped back stuff, very bass driven, and like very minimal drums. Sometimes half time, like some people class it as like fast dubstep, and around that time that we were really into that, Jamie and I. So yeah, we agreed to start the label together, which was great fun. That's my record label that I started with Jamie. Yeah, it was really good because it became like a bit of a cult. SoundCloud was just kicking off, which is like a website where you can upload sounds.
On the cloud.
On the cloud?
Yeah.
I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what the cloud was.
Well, yeah, again, SoundCloud used to be kind of cool back then.
Yeah, back in these days it was not like... Nowadays it's just like pop songs and long mixes, but this was
obviously you had stuff like SoundCloud rap and all that. There was that little era when it was like... massive.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, well, maybe that's more my younger students, but 2015 there was whole SoundCloud rap. Anyway, it's probably for another time, but, sometimes the technology, new technology... Like CD-ROMs in a bloody cereal packet. But, it's amazing how these little changes in technology create little types of music, you know, and like I said, like software on a PlayStation. It's amazing how it's quite a common thing in music how changes of technology influence different types of genres coming out and giving people access to it. Anyway, throwing it back.
Yeah,
anyway.
it can create such a rift as well, you know, and go elsewhere. There was a lot of similarities between dubstep and this kind of drum and bass we're referring to. Half time, I did an interview with Knowledge magazine, and I think they said, I think in the headline it said like bridging the gap between drum and bass and dubstep. So yeah, that was quite cool. And I had to big up Colin so much because he's the guy who started K-Mag, or Knowledge magazine it was called back in the day. He somehow heard of us when we were making a little bit of noise at the beginning of this record label and brought us in, did a video interview, first ever time I've been on camera. My leg was like thumper. And Jamie as well, he was also a bit like, oh, you know, like we were both holding the mic all wrong. It's on the internet, you can go and watch it.
Okay, I might cut in a little clip
do. We were so nervous. You look at my foot going, nah. And like the poor camera guy, like the amount of times he had to stop and start because of it, you know, because he can see it all and he's professional. But yeah, we've done this interview, and then after that, he invited us to go to, you know, 1001 on Brick Lane in the back room and do in there. And it was, I thought it was going to be like no one's going to turn up. Why are they going to come to that? We spent like loads of time making the logo, because they've got like a light behind you. They had like laser lights behind your LED lights.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, everyone's got that. I've been there before. It always the same. Let's do something different. So I got like cardboard, painted it all black, stenciled out the diff and then rent, and then in the middle had the logo, which is the giraffes. You can cut that in. I've got a photo of this up as well. We cut all this.
Where did the giraffe logo come from? Because
this is so when we were setting up the label, it was we didn't know what we were going to call it, and Jamie was working at Chemical Records in Bristol as their T-shirt designer, and he had a big catalogue of T-shirt designs that they didn't use, and I had sat there and flicked through, and I saw that, and I was like, "That's sick." It didn't mean anything, did it?
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like, and he'd had this thing. He'd always had this little slogan like different, like different, like as in Diffrent, not Diffrent. It was spelt differently, and just meaning, you know, do things alternative, la la la. Okay. So we put that underneath it. Okay. Yeah. Also, I think the R's backwards as well. Yeah. My armlet. The F. So.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Hold up. Show the tattoo.
Yeah, my mate Perry done that when I was really drunk.
All right.
He learned to do tattoos, and I was his. One of his victims when I was really drunk one night.
That's almost a giraffe top you're wearing there. Almost a little bit. Anyway,
the logo came from that, and the ethos was to put in that music that you haven't heard before, like different vibes, you know, different sounds. And we started as a podcast. We started a podcast at the same time. We was always going to set up the label, so it happened at the same time. Podcast series like every few months, and we would request people to send us their demos, and some of them we would sign. If we didn't sign them but we really liked them, we'd play them. And it was another little community that we were building, you know, and met so many new artists who I still know now and value as good friends. Like shout outs to Archaic, like he's doing really well. He kind of went on and did like a bit more down the line drum and bass, but still with his own character. So like I'm very proud of him, because he's from the early days. There's a few of us, there's like 4 or 5 of us. He's the one who's kind of gone on to have a career from it. So yeah, I'm super proud of that.
Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, there's so many artists, I couldn't even start reading them off the top.
No, that's fine.
I've done about 100 odd releases in like 15 years. Mainly just digital stuff, but we also quite a few records as well. And little sub-labels and such. And we didn't really know where it was gonna go. But you know, I started working full time not too long after starting the label. Worked in a little jewellery workshop in Hatton Garden, and I was there for like nearly 3 years, I think, and I was like running the business side of things. So running it, I was helping with it, and I learned so much. I learned how to run a small business, pretty much. Not doing the accounts, but like overseeing it and instructing, doing customer service, answering emails, phones, booking stuff.
Starting to know how the structure works and stuff like that, and that's important in the real world. Because as much as you can go and do a course on that, obviously when you're in the real world, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to do it right. Otherwise,
learning on the job as well.
Well, yeah, you might make some mistakes, but you learn quickly by mistakes, I guess is the other way.
And there's all transferable skills that I was picking
Yeah.
up, and going out and getting the resources, and like getting the diamonds and the metals, and taking them to go different services because they need to be polished or la la la. Right. So understanding that it's not just like you go to a shop and everything's there made for you. We saw how it was. They were making jewellery in there.
Okay.
So yeah, I learned so much there, and I really like that job. I loved it actually. And I got to a point where the music I was doing a lot of music now, producing and DJing and running the record label, still doing radio shows, podcasts. There were less radio, but podcasts and guest radio shows on other people's shows, which is quite fun. It's not too much of a responsibility. Just go and have a little mix for an hour. Great.
No, it's always nice to do someone else's show. Exactly.
Yeah, lots of that.
Turn up with your tunes and off you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now by this point, people are coming to you and writing to you, going, "Oh, can you do an interview with us? Can you come and do our podcast?" And it's great for the ego because you're like, "Oh, people want to hear my story, or they want to know what we're doing." And all of these things that were like very micro focused on what was going on around me at that time, and I loved it. I loved doing that sort of stuff, and it kind of it helped build who I am, and built up a lot of skills for me. The job, doing the music, so everything that was surrounding me was feeding into my musical journey. I don't know if it's a career because technically I don't really earn money out of the music. It's a hobby that I love so much that I try to funnel into that,
Well, no, we'll get to where you are now, obviously later on. But yeah, man, you're definitely involved in music. I guess one thing with all these sort of things is everyone's in it from different angles.
Yeah.
And I guess this was always the thing I'd say when I was teaching was we talk to students as everyone might want to be like just a big up producer or the famous star. But then there's a million jobs around that, and people have different skills at different sort of stuff.
So many jobs people don't even know exist, and you wouldn't find them out until you work around close to them.
Yeah.
So like if you work in a events company, you start realizing that you've got like bar staff, and you have sound technicians, and you have management.
This is what we talk to students about, stuff like events, because that is a classic of. It's everything from setting up stages to, like I said, doing backstage or and
lighting,
PR
security.
And promotion, and security, and
much.
And
that's just in the live aspect. Behind the scenes, even before that, there's so much that goes on.
And that's what I'd say to people who want to get into that sort of stuff. Sometimes you have to do them sort of jobs. That is some random, like you said, it might be just doing a bloody cloakroom at event, but you know what I mean.
It's an important function.
But what you do is you end up meeting people, don't you? And you through the social thing, and I guess that's probably because you are quite a social person, I'd say. Yeah.
I try to be. I feel like I've been referred to as a extroverted introvert.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I do. I have problems with social interactions. I do get quite nervous and I get anxiety, but with the experience that I have had up to today, I've got really better at it, and I think I come across.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is when you mix and you meet people anyway, that's how opportunities happen, isn't it? And I think that's happened with you, definitely. And like you said, because maybe at school you weren't the academic, which is but going out in the real world and doing it was the way that you learned. And
that's it, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, just learning on the job sort of thing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Teaching yourself, self-teaching. Everything I've done, I've been self-taught. But yeah, so where are we now is I'm working at this job in Hatton Garden, and I'm really enjoying it. And then the music stuff is happening, and the things are getting a bit on top. I've met my my soulmate by now as well, Teresa, the mother of my 2 children. Yeah. And I'd moved out again. Down to South London now, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Finally, across the river. Come to the good side.
They were telling me, they were saying, "Don't go down there. You're gonna get stabbed and all this." And funny enough, the first time I went to Brixton, I got out the cab and there's a murder scene happening right in front of me, stabbing right outside. Was it Plan B in Brixton? It was.
Okay.
Just outside there. I was like, oh, great! As if all of these rumours were true. But yeah, it didn't put me off. I moved down here.
Why do we have such a bad rep in South London?
I don't know, mate. Yeah, it's because it's cool down here, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are jealous that they can't be down
there. There we go. Thank you. All right.
So yeah, I moved down here in like 2011, and still working that same job. And you know, fell in love, and myself and Teresa were both not really enjoying our lives at the current moment, in terms of like the work we were doing. As much as I enjoyed the job, and I think I got to a point where I was like, I've gained everything I need from that now, la 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 la. So we decided to leave our jobs and go to Thailand for a little bit. Went like not long, but like I went for 6 weeks and she went for like 2 months, and did a bit of soul searching. You know,
Yeah, it's good to do that stuff.
Totally detach yourself from everything. Different music was still. I took my little laptop with me and I checked in on emails and made sure that I prepared everything for that. No releases came out for a little while. There was no podcast being done. La la la, whatever. When I came back, that was it. I was like, that's me. I'm fully just doing this record label now, and it was good fun. And I had this place that I stayed in. It was like it's like a bit like a squat, but it wasn't. It was like a shared housing association thing. I don't know. It was dirt cheap. I had 2 rooms. One was a bedroom and one was my studio. And I would have all sorts of people, the artists from my label, people I've met out and about at radio stations or in clubs, and you know, people with a similar kind of in the community, and we just come around and build tunes. So much music was made there that period. Yeah, so many memories were written, and the label was doing really well in terms of giving people an opportunity to put out this wacky music that, you know, didn't do very well, but it's out there, and they've all gone on their paths to do what they find in themselves, and it was a great moment, and a lot of people remember it with high regard. Jamie and I fell out a few years into the project, and it got really messy, but it happened, sadly. I mean, if you are watching this, then reach out, man, because it'd be good to chat. But yeah, something happened. I won't go into that.
No. We don't need to go into stuff like that. I mean, stuff happens in life. Like you said, it's
unfortunately cool. In music and any creative world, there are differences in what you want to do and, you know, desires, and they don't align. Luckily, I was able to just he just didn't want to be part of it. He wanted me to stop it, but I persevered. I set up another little label just in case, just to so if I did have to stop doing that one, it could transfer over. But kept it going. And we went on to do loads of stuff, like all over the shop, you know, like it was popular overseas, sending records out a lot of the time, more outside of the UK, weirdly, like America, love it, Australia and New Zealand. So it was fascinating. And now you're like, this community I'm talking about is now not just local, it's out there. And so many opportunities have come from it, for not just for myself but for the artists involved as well. So yeah, we're doing so much of that, putting out music, doing live streams, because this is now becoming a thing, and it's just ticking over. You know, there's never any money happening from it, like very small pennies coming in, you know, and sometimes you just I want to put this record out, let's put a load of money into it, and it doesn't really come back. But it's okay, we're doing it for art's sake, remember. It's not.
It's a hard business putting physical music out.
Yeah, there was no business plan.
And yeah, exactly.
There was, you know, everyone involved all kind of worked or had their own income. So,
and in a way, if you wanted to make money, you probably wouldn't be like doing different music.
Oh, hell no.
You know, you'd be doing like commercial jump up or whatever. You know,
or whatever's hot.
Whatever the hot mainstream tunes are at the time, and some people do that, but that's the way the world works. But a lot of times on the underground scene, people are putting parties on or putting records out, and a lot of times not making money or losing money. But you know that's normally the case, isn't it? You actually.
Oh yeah, I've definitely spent more than we've earned.
Exactly.
But it doesn't matter.
No, it's you're doing it for the love of it, which is the important point. You know, and the difference there.
Yeah, and you know, again, it's getting experience. It's giving opportunity to other people. Getting opportunity for myself as well. Meeting people is so important. I'm an only child. I've probably forgot to mention that at the very beginning. So I'm an only child. So for me, I have been always striving to bring people, so I'm not only. Right, so I'm doing this and it's going well, and at this point I just actually got engaged to my now wife, and then she said yes, of course, But she said, but on the terms are, yeah, we need to move out of this shithole.
Okay.
So you need to go get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort your life out, mate.
Yeah, sort your life out.
Is that if you're marrying me? Yeah, sort yourself out, boy.
Yeah, and then this is where
fair enough. Big up, Teresa. Yeah,
she helped me a lot with that.
Yeah,
but this is where it gets interesting because now
yeah.
I'm like, what do I do? Like, I can't find a job in music. You can't, like, it's very hard. So, and I'm just looking for any job, and it's so tough at this point. The way that there's a lot more unemployed than there are jobs in London, sadly. But one mate of mine hit me up and goes, "Oh, I knew you were looking for work. DJ Mag are looking for a graphic designer." And I'm like, "I don't know graphic design." And he's like, "Yes, you do." And I was like, "Well, a little bit, but not enough to go and work at somewhere like that, you know." And he basically encouraged me to apply, and applied, got a phone call, went for the interview, got the job. I winged it through the interview.
Yeah.
Pick up Martin. Like Martin, he was my boss. He was the art director. He still works there now. He taught me everything I know today about graphic design. So I thought I knew a little bit. I was doing everything in Photoshop. I thought that's how it was done. And you know, he taught me Photoshop is for, guess what? Editing photos.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that. And again, so that was a job where I learned more skills of something I was very familiar with already.
But all right, you got the job though, so you must have had good skills, you know. So.
He liked what I had done, like the vision. So it wasn't necessarily. It probably took me a long time to do these things.
No, but this is important, isn't it? It's not just about technical. Yeah, the eye.
Yeah,
that's
very
the thing.
important. Yeah,
that's the thing that you can't maybe train. You know, you can learn the skills, but the eye and the intuition, or whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah.
That's the important bit. So that's what you saw.
The natural flair from inside of me, which has been there from a young age, like I said, with creativity. Same sort of stuff with like music and A&R and having an ear. So having an eye for design and or for an ear for sound. Yeah. So I've done this job and I stayed there for a good 2.5 years, it must have been. And we've done so much when I was there. Like, you know, I was, being around the music industry, getting to meet all sorts of people. You meet like superstars, and then you also meet up and coming people. Whilst I was working there, we'd moved office to a place in Angel, and they'd bought the whole building, and it included a club, like not a big one, tiny little club, and what was it called? Work Bar, it was called, and of the director of the company, he brought us all down one day to the bar and was like, "Right, so it's not part of your job description, but I want you all to put on nights here to bring people into the bar because we need to pay for the bar in it."
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty.
No one wanted to do anything, like apart from me and Ben. Yeah, so Ben Hindle, who still works for DJ Mag, big up Ben. We decided because we had such a similar taste in music, it's unbelievable. We decided we're going to start an event. It was like a monthly. And it was like, you come down there, free entry, the DJs are playing, we're doing a live stream, the bar's open, and we're focusing on different record labels that are maybe underrepresented via DJ Mag. So we're essentially linking it to DJ Mag. We're not just doing our own party.
Surely that's good promo, obviously being involved with DJ Mag.
Oh yeah. So it's called DJ Mag Bunker, and they're all on the internet. You can see them. They're all recorded, all the sets. Yeah. We had some wicked nights in there. It was like a Wednesday night thing. So and it was like proper, like having it on a Wednesday night. Like, go on.
Yeah.
And it was wicked. I met so many people through that who, again, they're part of my fabric now. And we had like Rupture came down there. Talk about a full circle, you know, from the early days of the radio station to now broadcasting on. So me and Ben were actually doing the streaming as well. So we were learning how to do all that, getting all this gear in, equipment. We had like AKO beats, we had Tech Life. Tech Life was the very first one I got down there. We had like Jay Kenzo was doing stuff down there, Youngster. Like we were across section of underground dance music. It wasn't just drum and bass or hardcore or whatever. It was a bit of everything, you know. Every month would be something different, and that was great. And we kept that going for probably 2 years, I reckon. In the meantime, I'd started to do a vinyl market as well. So I wasn't so much DJing vinyl at this point. I'd kind of, because of the record label, you know, everything was digital. I bought Serato, so I was using that.
Oh, did you? Serato,
yeah.
There you go.
But then when you start DJing in clubs, it's so hard.
I know, it's a nightmare.
So then, yeah.
And I used to bloody hate going on after someone on Serato, or like because they'd be
or
pulling
before,
because they'd be pulling all the cables out, and it'd be like
I know, and I was that guy, and I'm like, I'm so
exactly.
carefully, like,
oh my god, yeah.
I was always so careful, and like, I felt such a hindrance.
Yeah,
I'd normally just go, right, play your last tune in my set if you want, and I'll do it, because it was such a ball ache. And then once you're all set up, does the needle work, or is it?
Oh god, yeah.
So then I converted onto the CD deck with CDs. I've got so many CDs. I started getting back into vinyl and cutting dubs. Actually, I was getting my dubs cut because I was so fed up with these CD decks. I just didn't enjoy it. So for me to revitalise my DJ side, started going back into vinyl again. Started up this vinyl market with Chris in Perspective, who I had met, I think, at an Exit Records night once, and we hit off on the bus. And then so we started this called Clashmouth, and it was like 20 to 30 record labels all come and they have a stall, and they bring their back catalogues and encourage them to put out some new music.
How did you come up with that idea then? You just
brainstormed
out a lot.
It was like I'd done a few of them before. Like I participated, like the independent label market in not in Brick Lane. Was it in near there though?
Yeah, Shoreditch. Yeah.
And so had Chris, and I feel like he rang me up one day. I was like, "Should we do a market together?" He goes, "I know that you'd have the desire and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "I haven't really thought about it, if I'm honest with you, mate. But yeah, let's sit down." And so he kind of like brought that to the table, and I was like, "Yeah, this sounds brilliant," because no one was really. You go to these said markets, and there's like one drum and bass label.
Yeah.
So we were the drum and bass market, and we launched it on Record Store Day, where there's such a slim pickings for any dance music, let alone drum and bass, in the Record Store Day portfolio. So
I mean, we could whinge for ages about Record Store Day, but you know, like you said, it's not geared towards underground music. No. All right, so what year did you start the Clashmouth?
So yeah, Clashmouth was on Record Store Day 2017, so it was in April, and it was a hit. People just turned up. It was so hard to do, and there was literally like it was like a massive influx of people. We didn't even anticipate that, to be honest with you, neither of us. We knew it'd be a good idea. But yeah, it was great, and that was at 1001 in that back room. Okay. Funny enough. And we had to rent all the desks. It was such a ball ache to do.
Because people having exclusives, weren't they? Were they at the first one, or was it? Is that how it started, or was it just general record labels at the start?
I don't know if anyone had anything exclusive. Maybe, and it might. If it was exclusive, it was probably coincidentally because it came out that week or whatever, and they were like, "Oh, we might as well hold it back."
Okay, yeah, right. Well, I guess for the
very first one, nah.
Yeah, you're just working it out. No, fair enough.
Yeah, then we did a little after party afterwards in that room. So some people did stay on and come to it. It wasn't much of a hit, unfortunately, the after party. And then the second one we done, I don't know, like 6 months later. And at this point, I decided it'd be a good idea. I thought it'd be a good idea to have DJ booth in the middle and all the stalls around it. So we didn't have to have the after party. We could have music. Sent an email out to all of the participants saying there are 8 DJ slots for 30 minutes. Who would like to do one? And then first come, first serve. And then it was a great vibe. The second one, people were bringing exclusive records. And then after that, it was such a ball ache because we had to rent the desks, the tables, and it was such a palaver getting them in and out because you had to store them outside, and it's at our own risk. And luckily, Threshold worked at House of Vans, and I think Chris took his son there to do skating. There's a skate. It's shut down now, but they did skating lessons, skateboarding, and bumped into Threshold, who was there, and basically he hooked up a meeting for us to meet up with the people who ran the venue. We told them what we wanted to do, and they were like, yes. They had all the market stalls already there.
Amazing.
They said, you turn up, you organise it, make a flyer, we'll co-promote it, and we will handle everything. And it was perfect. It was what we were looking for. It was bigger, better. We had the decks on the stage. We broadcasted it onto radio. It might have even been onto the bunker. It might have even been onto DJ Mag Bunker. It was Subtle Radio.
Yeah, okay.
Big up Subtle Radio. We broadcast it on there. Yeah, so this campaign went on like every 6 months we did it. But yeah, so I started working at DJ Mag when it started, and then I got headhunted by Hospital Records.
Yeah.
Asking me, do I want to come and work for them? And I was tough because I really love my job at DJ Mag, can't lie. And I said, you're going to need to make me an offer that I can't refuse, because I've never been in this situation.
Well, that is a good position to be in.
I was like, yeah.
Exactly, like, yeah.
Tony Coleman on the phone.
I was going to say, you didn't have that at Waitrose, did you?
Nope. In fact, I went when I came back to London, I applied for a job and they said no.
Yeah.
So I've got like all this experience.
Yeah, go on.
So Tony Coleman's on the phone. Oh, you know, like, do you want to come and work for us? Because I'd known him because he'd supported the label, Different Music, and they wanted a new label manager because the Mullet was leaving. He was the med school label manager at the time, and they wanted someone to come and do that and do the podcast, as in like produce. So I went for an interview because you've got to hear it out. I didn't tell my boss. I went to it, and I had the interview, and they seemed very, very keen to get me on board. And it was, I kid you not, 5-minute cycle from my house in Sydenham, the office. And I told him how much I was getting paid, and I said, you need to pay me more than I'm getting paid now.
Did you tell him the real amount? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was honest.
You did, yeah. Because sometimes you bump up the amount and then...
I was getting paid good as well. I was getting paid nicely at DJ Mag as well. So I'm not going to take the piss. I don't like to take the piss out of anyone.
No, fair enough.
This is an independent record label as well, yeah?
Yeah.
They're not like... They are big independent, like probably the biggest in the drum and bass world anyway.
But, yeah.
So anyway, I was like, you need to pay me more, and I really don't want to leave DJ Mag.
Yeah.
But let's talk. And the conversations went on, and I had a phone call from Tony, and he was like, oh, we just wanted to give you full transparency. No, don't find it right, sorry. We were having a Clashmouth meeting, me and Chris, in the pub, and we were like, before we sat down, and then we was about to start talking, and then he goes, oh, Dexta, before we start, you'll never guess what happened to me today. And then he went on to explain that he had an interview at Hospital Records for this label management job, and he can talk for England, that guy, 25 minutes explaining every detail of this interview. And then he stopped. And then I was like, all right, okay. It's like, Chris, you're never going to guess what happened to me today. And he goes, what? And I said, exactly what you just said. And then, it was like, and then he was like, oh, you've definitely got the job, man. You've definitely got the job. And I was like, oh, this is awkward, isn't it? And I was like, not necessarily, mate. Like, not necessarily. Also, I'm already having, like, I don't really want to leave my other job. And then we had our meeting. The next day, Tony Coleman rings me up and he's like, oh, so, hi, Dexta, how you doing, mate? You right? Yeah. And he's like, right, I really want to offer you the job. And I was like, all right, cool. And he goes, but for full transparency, we interviewed, like, a few other people, one of which you know very well. And I was like, what, Chris in Perspective? And he's like, yeah, how did you know? And I was like, we talk.
I was down the pub with him last night.
We were down the boozer last night.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
And then he goes, and he basically was like, I'm going to make you 2 offers. One, you take the job, and you'll be doing this, that, and the other. Or there's another option where we change the job role. You do something slightly different and share the label management job. So essentially opening up another job position for Chris. So I was like, of course. If I just take the label management job and that role there, he doesn't get anything. So I was like, I always like to give people opportunities. So I was like, you're asking, it's a bit awkward that they asked me that, but I was like, of course. So then we both started working there together. So that made Clashmouth even better because we would spend time at the desk sometimes when you're not working on Hospital Records, working on, well, you didn't fire me. They did. But so we did that for a while, and that was quite something, working at Hospital Records and using
they said it's like massive label in the game. So.
Yeah. So they wanted my graphic design skills. So these things are very prominent now, aren't they? Graphic design. My A&R skills from running Different Music. My broadcast skills, podcasting abilities, because I used to run their podcast with Tony weekly. That was mad, actually, that project. It's funny to see how other people work as well, like producing for someone.
I guess you can get stuck sometimes in your own way of doing stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, obviously, and a lot of times we all think like we know the best way. And then you see someone else do something, you're like, oh, I never even thought about that. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, all right, I need to...
Yeah.
Well, again, it's always good to It's always good to refresh yourself.
Learn.
If you don't do that, you end up stuck. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Always learning from.
Yeah.
But I didn't know this, but he was like, I had to select all the songs, so I was in charge of all that, which isn't a problem because I understand Hospital and I've been a fan of theirs for a long time before, so I know the sound or I can see where they're going. Also, I know they're paying me because they like my ear.
Yeah.
So I can put my stuff in there as well, and it worked really well. And for one point, Tony came up because I would line it all up, put the stick in the deck, and then press record, and then he would come in, and then I would go upstairs and continue with my job, and then I got an alarm. About an hour later, I'll go downstairs and then do the next stage, right? One time he came up I don't know, must have been only 15 minutes after the beginning, in a rage, and he's like, "Why are you putting X, Y, and Z song on there?" And I was like, "I don't know, mate, it's a banger." And then it was like a personal thing, and I was a bit like, "Oh, okay," so it was a bit awkward. But he's a man of many talents, and being a creative, you can also have these kind of.
So when you're saying you're putting it on there, what do you mean? You were like,
oh, as in all he had to do is come to the room, press play.
Oh, so he could hear them. That's what you were doing.
No, he was doing the podcast. He mixed them. He didn't know. He didn't know what to expect.
I got a bit confused there. It's all right.
No, that's all right. But I'd get a piece of paper and I'd write the notes he had to read out. I produced his show for him.
Oh, I see.
So I do the writing and then he did the performing.
Okay, yeah.
And generally I got it 100% right on the tunes. But this one time I was like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna get fired."
So he had to mix them, or?
Yeah, he just mixed them. Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't know what was coming up until he played it.
Oh, okay.
So I could have stitched him up if I wanted to, but it wasn't live. It was all recorded, so I had to go and take that song out. Basically.
Okay.
He did that himself, in fact.
Right.
But I thought I was gonna get fired.
So this is Hospital Records podcast.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I got a bit confused there.
It's all good. And so I was doing that. Did loads of A&R, working with a few other artists. It was interesting though, because working at a record label, I had my idea of what that meant. Everyone does things differently, but this was big because we had 20 odd artists on there.
Alright, so what was the surprises to you then that you didn't expect?
Well, we had because there's 20 artists, it was kind of like this, and there was about 10 A&R agents, should we say. And these are people who they do other jobs as well, but they all would come together in a big round circle every week and discuss what we found, how we're getting on with projects. And everyone would have their own team, which was really, really good. So you'd be like, you are X, Y, and Z's number one A&R go-to. Then you have a support person and la la la. Very interesting. And I'd have to say that if I was to go and work in a record label, like a bigger one, these are kind of really good experiences that you could bring to the table because they did work, actually. But yeah, we done that. We flew over to Croatia, to them big raves that they did out there, hospitality on the beach, and it was like a holiday and work. But I think it was more work, but there was no communication about that, so getting in trouble for sunbathing sometimes. Anyway, that job, it kind of fizzled out and we both got let go. It's a bit of a grey area. I don't understand why, but that happened. I won't go into it because there's nothing to go into. But tail end of that job, I had set up 1-800 dub plate, which was at cutting dubs with Lewis, sick note, a mate of mine.
How did you meet Lewis?
I met him through just going out raving and just being part of living in London, going to similar raves. He booked me to play at one of his parties at 1001. This is a prominent place as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Bloody hell.
He used to do this, I think, like a monthly event in there, and I played for him there once.
What are his parties called?
What's it called? I don't know, but could it be CMYK? Because the colours was CMYK, so it might have even been called CMYK maybe.
Alright. Anyway, So you met Lewis.
And I knew that he was a vinyl DJ, and I knew that he'd been cutting dubs or getting his music cut to dub because he actually played at one of the bunker nights as well, and he was telling me that he just cut a tune that we made together. We made a tune together. He cut that to dub and. So I knew that he was like into that dub plate culture, and when I had the idea of I would like to set up a dub plate cutting house, I'd had the idea years ago. Also had the idea to set up a record shop years ago, but it just never really happened. So it's like a thought, not an idea. At this point, I really researched it. I spent hours and hours, and decided to set it up. And I was like, I can't do it by myself. Like I know that I can't. It's too much. So I pulled my phone out. Who do you hit out? Who do you call? Lewis, because he's the only guy I know he loves vinyl, he loves the same sort of music as me. I know that he would put his heart into it. Do you want to set up a dub plate cutting house? And then, yes, of course I would love to set up a dub plate cutting house.
You sent him a message saying
that?
Yeah,
I just texted him that, yeah.
Okay.
I
just yes, alright then.
Well, yeah, and then it was exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So we done that we were both working full time, so it was evenings and weekends actually.
Because dub plate cutting. I mean, obviously I know transition. Is the main.
That's the end of my road.
Yeah.
Transition.
Yeah, well, I've got loads of dubs from transition, but there wasn't many other dub plate places I was going to. So. Yeah, what made you want to set up your own one?
What made me want to do it was, if I'm honest with you, I was getting my tunes cut. And I was always shopping around, and I wasn't really happy.
What weren't you happy about? The quality, or the cost, or the? Yeah,
the attention to detail and the quality. Yeah. Cost was okay because we're not cutting acetates; we're cutting plastics, and the cost of the raw material is a lot cheaper. All right.
Do you want to explain the difference for those?
An acetate, the normal the traditional dub plate, is cut onto a disc, which is a metal disc with a very thin layer of lacquer, which is like a plasticky petroleum soft plastic, which when you cut, it cuts the grooves in. This same disc would be used to actually manufacture a record, but some people would want a reference disc, so you cut it onto a reference disc, which is also known as a dub plate. Essentially a reference disc. So you get the song cut straight on there, so you can hear how it will sound on vinyl.
But they don't last. They don't last very long, do they?
Yeah, if you don't look after them,
because the material's a bit softer and. If you play them more than 10, 20 times, I mean, again, I think they can last a bit longer, dub plate, old school dub plates. But
they looked after.
They degrade, don't they?
They do, yeah. Especially if the needle is too heavy. One time we got given like a £1,000 needle by Audio Technica.
Yeah.
At hospital, test press to listen to our test presses on, and it was great. And I got a dub plate cut at Heathman's. Is it Heathman's? You said?
Yeah, Heathman's.
No, not Heathman's. Sorry, no.
Heathman's this one, and the other one.
Yeah, it is. No, I got a dub plate cut at Transition.
Right, Shane at Heathman's. Yeah.
Shane, that's Shane the cutter, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, go on. Sorry. Yeah.
They hit me up and they said, "Do you want some dubs cut? Would give you a demo or whatever." So I sent him a Lakeway song. He's one of my artists on Diffrent. He was the next release. That'd be a nice little present. So he cut that nice and put the £1,000 needle onto the acetate and let it play, and it very rapidly just stopped playing. Like it just sounded like really bad.
Oh no!
And I pulled it off and tried to clean the needle, and the bloody acetate had stuck on the needle. And I spoke to Audio Technica, and they said, the only way of cleaning that off is by using a certain material, but that same material will take the needle off. So it's done now, isn't it? That is muffed up by the one thing. So that if you get acetates cut, don't use £1,000 needles, and also.
So you fucked a £1,000 needle, basically.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, nice.
Luckily, it was free. It was given to us.
You're not going on my.
We couldn't use it. We couldn't replace it.
Yeah.
So we just hide that one away. We just use the other one now. But yeah, so when you put the needle on, if too much weight, it's going to create more heat, and thus melt away and wear away the grooves. So they just won't work properly. So yeah, if you put your acetate fresh vinyl on, just take a bit of weight off. If it skips, obviously put a little bit more on, but be very careful. And they all last a long time. But yeah, we're not doing that. We're cutting plastics.
Yeah, okay.
So that's straight onto a piece of PVC plastic vinyl with a film. It's got instead of the lacquer, it's got like a film, like a layer. Essentially, it's a lacquer, but just a different style. It's a bit harder.
A bit longer lasting.
Yeah, and you can cut with a diamond. You use a diamond stylus rather than a sapphire. Yeah. And yeah, you can get a similar result. There's always arguments that acetate sounds better. Probably if you're listening to it on like a super hi-fi system. Yeah, for a DJ, I noticed no difference playing both.
Not if you're on your Red Dwarf Dexta.
Yeah, I'm a Red Dwarf Dexta.
For your Max Bass hi-fi preamp. Anyway, Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, we do that, and we were doing that in my spare. Like I got like a little man cave in my house, and it was all right up until the neighbours upstairs decided their lounge was above my studio. They wanted to one of the girls who lived there wanted to put her bedroom in there and put the lounge upstairs, and then it was all chaos.
Okay.
We were doing this stuff in our evenings and weekends. Evenings and weekends means noise at night. Didn't work.
Yeah.
So we started shopping around for like, we had somewhere to go and do this, like a studio. Couldn't find anywhere. Started chatting to Sam and Owen at Arja down in Deptford, because they'd recently moved into the Arch. And he said, either side of us is available, why don't you try and get in there? So we did, we inquired, and it was so expensive. And we were like, we can't do that. We're not going to earn that much from
because how busy were you cutting dub plates?
We were getting busy.
You were getting like regular customers?
Yeah, but we weren't advertising though. So
it was word of mouth?
Yeah, we weren't advertising. We had the website set up and it worked. So we couldn't afford the rent. We just wanted a part-time studio to go to and cut the dubs. So then, that seemed out of reach. And then I actually got made redundant / let go / that grey area I mentioned earlier at Hospital Records. It was really weird moment.
That's all right.
Which is fine, because that happened. I got a few months' pay.
Sometimes the door closes and another one opens.
Yeah, and I'm like, sat up one night, can't sleep, went downstairs, turned on my computer, and I started designing weirdly. I don't know what, I was no intention in my pre-conscience. And there's logo, Discworld, vinyl and dub plates. Oh, what's that? Is there a photo of that place in Deptford? Let me superimpose it on there. 5 a.m, text Lewis, should we open a record shop, bruv?
5 a.m?
Yeah. And then a few hours later, he's woke up, he's like,
I was going to say,
yeah, let's do that. I have no money to invest in it though, la la la. And I was like, don't worry about that, man. Let's just make this happen. Do you want to do it first?
Yeah.
So then, literally that one door thingy that happened not even a week in to my freedom part.
Redundancy or whatever,
So and then like within the next couple of weeks, we decided we didn't have any money, like we didn't know how much we needed either. We did a business plan, rough business plan, and then we was like, well, we could go to a bank, but that's long, and also there's other ways of doing this stuff. So we did a crowdfunder, which I realised would be really good, because not only are you getting money from people and you don't have to pay back, you're already creating a community or extending a community and building potential customers who are investing in you, really. If you don't pass the goal, probably not in the right, it's probably a bad idea.
Well, that is the good thing about crowdfunding.
Yeah.
You're basically going, are you interested in this? If so,
make it happen.
Yeah, show us the money. Obviously, if it doesn't hit the target, then you get your money back. So
we want to do this. If you want it, we will do it. But you just need to put your money in your pocket.
Exactly.
Your hand in your pocket.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Hi there. My name's Chris Dexta.
I'm Sick Note Lewis.
We are the guys responsible for 1-800 Dubplate, where we've been cutting Dubplate records for the past 6 months.
And we're about to open a record shop. Well, hopefully in this one in here.
Deptford Market Yard, South East London, Lewisham.
Discworld. We're doing a Kickstarter, and hopefully you guys can help us out.
We reached our target within, I think, like it was just over the 2-week mark. It was a 4-week campaign.
Okay, that's good.
And we hit our target within just over 2 weeks. It was. And we were so elated, and it was like the most magical thing, you know. It was like, yes, it's an idea that people want. Yes, we can actually give this a go, and you know, it was a highly emotional moment. You know, creating something that I'd somehow had been working my whole life towards, which I didn't know. And for me, that was like, boom, cemented. And we did it. It was a ball ache to get in there actually, but I will save that because this is such a positive part of my life.
Sadly, yeah.
The store opened in January, it was supposed to open in October, but it's all to do with leases and stuff.
What year was this?
This is too far. Well, we opened in January 2020.
Good timing for a business.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily we opened in January and not in March, because then we wouldn't have opened.
And I will say, opening a record store, it's not like the business where you think we're going to make a fortune, we're going to sell vinyl records.
No.
You know, in the 2020s, and he said 1920s. In the 2020s, like it's not like we're going to make our fortune by opening a record store. You know, and obviously we talked about how loads of record stores closed, and how like Soho used to be full of record stores. Now there's a few there still, but not like back in the day. All right, so that's a kind of a brave.
It was very brave.
Brave / stupid. Yeah. Brave.
Stupid. Very stupid. Yeah.
No, but no, courageous. So
I I do feel very stupid for doing it, if I'm honest with you. But the thing is, yeah, like not stupid.
No,
but
I mean stupid is not the right word. Actually,
the thing is, I probably
courageous. I think is the correct
I probably
word.
could have had a better livelihood now if I didn't. You know, in hindsight, it's still going though. Yeah, we're still here somehow, hanging in. But it's something very special that we pledged to do, so we did it, and we struggled the hell through it. Coronavirus happened, obviously, which actually benefited us because people were at home with money that they couldn't spend. Oh, I know, let's buy records.
I think this is when I met you when you opened. I'm not sure how soon after you opened, but that's pretty much when I met you. And
before coronavirus.
I can't remember when I first went down
or
there.
During. We were illegally open during coronavirus. Sorry, we just did. We had to because we needed to play music. It wasn't even for money. It was just to play music. We had the door shut and we had little drinks and stuff like that in there.
Well, I was down there a few times. I've probably got some videos on my phone somewhere that
there's loads of that.
Share, but again, it was weird times.
Yeah, so for those who never went there, it was an arch in Deptford, next to Arja, if you went there maybe, and we would play music and sell records and cut dubs and get really drunk. Jazz Bar was about 3 arches down.
Yeah, well, for a little while, like, because you were there, like you said, Arja was there, Arja Bar, and then Jazz Bar selling all the really mad craft beers there. All the little arches there, and like Deptford, and me as a South London boy, there was there was this little scene there with you lot down there, and it was quite like exciting.
Definitely, mate.
And it was good for me. It was somewhere local. I could go down, I could buy tunes, hang out, see crew,
meet people.
Discover. I mean, and to be honest, I was sort of kind of joking when I said it's a stupid thing to do because I think it's a brilliant thing to do as well. As in community wise and that sort of stuff. But for me it was really exciting when you opened there.
Oh my god, yeah, it was so exciting. We had like this arch, right? I kid you not. Even if, let's say, you could fit comfortably 15 people in it. Well, we managed to fit like 30 people in there sometimes, and outside as well. We had like a lovely outside space with the benches. Especially, we weren't allowed to have benches when we opened because that was their rules. But when Corona happened, no one was allowed to be within a metre of each other. So they let us have benches. We were there for, I don't know, like, it must have been at least 2 years, maybe 2.5. And things really, I didn't say they hit rock bottom, but we were at the point where we're like, we're not going to be open for much longer. And like, we had loans to pay back. And we were like, we had some investors as well. So it's like, we need to, it's like friends, not like big companies or anything. It's like friends who believed in us. We're like, we can't just shut it down, and also if we do, that means you have to like blacklist yourself and and it'd be such a shame after we're just such a young thing. Cause I don't look at it as a company at that point either. It's like we're a young thing that needs to be there.
Yeah, so, like I said, going down there, I always felt it was a community. Met loads of really cool people who I wouldn't have met if there wasn't a little place to go and just and. I think I remember nagging you or Lewis several times because obviously you were right next to Jazz Bar and obviously everyone would go and buy their beers there and obviously come in your shop, and a lot of times people were drinking more beers and buying records.
I know, that was so frustrating.
That's again, that's the reality of maybe but anyway, so
we were like, we need to get a bar. We need to put a bar in here.
Exactly,
and then we were like, when Arja got, I don't know, like they got. They got kicked out. So when Arja basically had to move out of their arch, and at that point, I was like, okay, well we can sell alcohol now because the only reason we didn't was because they were our mates and we didn't want to f up their business. So now they've moved out, it's free game, Then we tried to work it all out, and we were like, if we did do it, it's going to be such a faff. Where's stuff going to go? We could just get a fridge with cans. Yeah, cool. By this point, things really weren't working, and we started looking at alternative business models. Go online and do live streaming, or just have a lock up, and we were really looking at ways to keep the shop going so money can come in so we can pay back our debts and still have a bit of a vibe to keep alive because it's very important. And we really struggled to find something that was either happy or we could afford. And weirdly enough, one day I walked past this spot that used to be a pizza restaurant in New Cross, and the shutters had been down for so long and I was so frustrated, and I was like, I know the guy who used to run that gaff, and tried to reach out to him, couldn't get reached to him. turns out that Liz, who used to work for us in Discworld, or at the time did, she used to work for the guy who owns the lease, who has a pub around the corner. Got his number, met him, and then literally within about 3 weeks we had the keys. So we just left our tenancy, we just left our lease at the other gaff because they were taking liberties really with prices.
Yeah, I mean, I will say as well, like where you were, like Arja had to leave because they were getting all noise complaints, weren't they? Really?
Yeah, we were getting some as well. To be fair.
And again, it's just the classic thing for like back in the day, Deptford High Street and all that bit. There was tons of pubs on a Friday or Saturday night. It was packed full of people, it was noisy as hell, and it was party. You know, again, it was a busy Deptford High Street, and you were just off Deptford High Street because you're in the new little bit that's created where the arches are. Obviously, they built all the new flats, and then suddenly you got people in the flats going, "Oh, you're playing music." And I know for a fact that Arja were very trying to keep the noise down, and you were as well.
We shut early as well.
Yeah, so, you shut early. I guess the thing with Arja was you'd be shut by 7, 8 o'clock, maybe 9.
They needed to stay open.
But Arja were like a bar that'd be open to midnight. You know, I know for a fact they weren't trying to be. They weren't trying to be idiots. They were like trying to keep the noise down. But even so, some local new residents complaining about the noise, and they more or less had to get out of there.
Yeah.
So again, it's that classic thing of that area. You know, used to be on a Friday or Saturday night. Yeah, all about. Yeah. There'd be loads of drunk people shouting and screaming down the street on a Friday, Saturday night. Where suddenly, like, yeah. But anyway, that's one of the recurring stories in London. All right, so
it was such a lovely buzz, and I do miss it. I do miss that buzz because it's something unique about it that we can't recreate where we are now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we had this like lawsuit. I'm probably not even allowed to talk about this, but with Terry Pratchett's estate. So yeah, we were in Deptford, and at the time we were legally forced to change our name, so we called it Planet Wax. And luckily, not too long after that was this move, so it kind of made sense that was Discworld. And now this new place with Planet Wax. That's the way I see it anyway. And this gaff, the rent was cheaper, the premises was a lot bigger, the expansion and possibilities were greater. It had a licence already in place for alcohol and a bar, fully installed. It had a sound system in there as well, which we just adapted and brought out.
And
we reinforced.
It had a toilet. A toilet. Yeah.
Toilets. Oh yeah, there was no toilets at Discworld.
Yeah, no, Discworld, there was a toilet that you had.
One crackhead den.
There was one crackhead toilet that you had to know the code to. And yeah, that was anyway, I won't go into too much info about that, but everyone was always like, oh my God.
That toilet's still there, you know.
Is it?
Yeah. I went in there.
Do you remember the code?
I know it's a fob now.
That was it. Right.
It was a key originally.
We shout out the code so everyone
7712.
Oh God, no. Anyway, yeah. No, but yeah, you actually had Ashley was like, oh my God, I can go down to, I was going to say Discworld, Planet Wax, and can actually go to the toilet. This is so posh. And there's a bar. Yeah.
You haven't got to leave premises.
Exactly. No.
It's a very important thing of...
Well, it is very important.
Any kind of business, actually.
It's very important, and yeah, if you're drinking beers and anyway.
Imagine that being stuck... Sometimes you're in there on your own at Discworld, and you're having a couple of drinks and the DJ's playing, and then you're like, I need to now... leave and go and stand in a queue because there was like at the time it was quite a busy area, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah.
But yeah, so we moved to New Cross and things had changed, and now we've got a bar and we had to work this out. So me and Lewis were like working all hours on the bar, which was weird for us because we'd never done that before.
But you were doing the bar with,
So yeah, I forgot to mention that we went 3 arches down to Jazz Bars and stole Roman and said, "You've got to come and look at this place. Do you want to come and be a business partner? You can take a percentage of our company. You need to give us a little bit of dough. We need a bit of investment for it. But you can come and bring your craft beer expertise to a different audience or a similar audience because you're not going to get them down there anymore because they're going to be coming here."
Yeah. So well, that was kind of the thing, wasn't it? Because we all got to know Roman because I'd go see you and Lewis and. We'd always get some beers from Roman.
Yes.
Some
beers.
Some beers, yeah. Well, I know. Yeah, Lewis to be on his Negronis. Yeah, he liked the Negronis. Yeah.
That was a bit of a pivot which we made, and so just by moving, we saved ourselves rent money. So that meant that we had a little bit of a little bit less weight. We were just subletting. And then we essentially went on to buy the lease about a year after, just under a year after. We got a really good deal with. So yeah, big up David for that, mate. Because without your support to that cause, we probably wouldn't have been able to do it. And then we would have had to say, sorry, we can't afford it, and then don't know what's next, maybe nothing.
Well, do you know what? Do you remember? I think I've signed one of the leases as a witness.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. So you met David, yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I remember you got me to sign the thing. I was like, what am I signing here? I'm not signing my life off to a record store.
And big up to Godfrey for the warm champagne. Do you remember that as well?
Oh yes, I do.
Put it everywhere.
I'll try and find. I've got a photo of somewhere. I think I even sent it to you, but of you and Lewis having some warm champagne that he. Yeah.
Well, he just bought it.
He bought it around the corner.
Off the shelf, isn't it?
All right, I'll try. If I find that, I'll cut that photo in. But yeah, no, but I remember being. I was one of the witnesses on the lease. I'm proud of that, being on that lease. You know, so 10-year lease, isn't it? Or
yeah. So we're I think 2 years into it now.
Okay, all right.
And so much has happened. I won't even go into it all because it's still happening now. And if you want to know about it, you know where we are because it's there. We do everything there now. Like we still do the dub plates and. That's always been important. Sell vinyl, got the bar. We have DJ still spinning at all hours. We're now doing broadcasting where you've got your bi-weekly show.
Residency, yeah. Sonic Treasure every 2 weeks on a Friday, 5 to 7.
Exactly.
Uncle G, who's another guest on this podcast, is he's
big up Uncle G, man.
Uncle
he's
G,
like my best mate, and I met him outside. Well, no, outside. So he comes into Discworld one day before coronavirus.
Yeah.
So we just opened.
Yeah.
And he's bowled in, and he's like, "I heard you lot are trying to go on like black market records." And I was like, technically, yeah, we are trying to do that. We're trying to recreate that, and it was a bit like intimidating, if I'm honest with you. At first.
I like to say you say bowling because he does bowl in Uncle G. He's got a South London bowl. He has that little swagger, like I don't know.
I think that's just his dodgy foot, though. But I'm only joking, bro.
I think it's the South London thing, mate. You're from North London, you wouldn't know. That's how we.
So yeah, we spent. He'd come in religiously every Friday.
Yeah.
After work. And unload all of his disposable income on vinyl and booze from Jazz Bars. In fact, he didn't actually.
He probably kept you going for a while, mate.
He did. He definitely did. he would go to the off license and get some bottles of whatever he was drinking at that time, and then spend the rest on records, and then maybe get a bit of grub and then go. And that happened, and then Corona happened, and then we didn't have any contact. I didn't have his number. He was just this guy who was coming in on a Friday. And then during lockdown, when we started reopening again, it took him a while, but he started coming back. And at that point, that's where we started bonding. And we would spend a lot of time just chatting and getting to know each other, drinking beers from Jazz Bars, converting into the dark side of craft beer. And now we do a radio show together. Together. We only started like last month, which is on Infrared FM, which is, it's another online station. So I'm revisiting these. I'm not using Winamp because I haven't got a Windows computer, but it's a similar technology, same technology. So I'm doing all of that now, and it's literally bringing it all up to the surface again, like stuff that I've been doing for like 20 years. Brought back to, and I was like, how do I do this? And trying to remember and.
Well, no, all the skills that you learn are coming into this. But...
So still doing online radio station, online pirate radio.
I mean, look, one thing I do want to talk about is about the record shop as a community.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Right, because I think that's really important, and you as in Planet Wax, you do your open decks on a Wednesday. Which if you've never been down on a Wednesday, you want to play some tunes. I've been down there a few recently. It's amazing. I think you put your name in the hat, don't you? You get a half-hour set, pull it out. It gets busy down there. But but when I've been down there, it's been quite a few people down there. You can play some tunes. Do you know what I mean? You give access to all different areas of the community, and you do it genuinely without trying to do it for the sake of it. You do it because
I do it because it's not me doing it as well, because we're a company. And there's more than
I wanted to say Planet Wax, not you,
But
exactly.
I do think that a lot of it does stem from the undeniable fact that I'm an only child, and I like to give opportunity to people because it's hard to explain, but being an only child, I had to always seek community. Because I didn't have it at home. I didn't have a brother or sister. I had my parents, again, they separated. My childhood wasn't, it might look on paper quite nice and smooth, but it was rough mentally. I'm still working through it now,
That's right.
30 years later.
Yeah,
but I feel like it's a lot of what's happening with Planet Wax is an extension of my my childhood, and I didn't have opportunities. I couldn't go to Planet Wax and play an open deck set on a Wednesday without any obligation. You haven't got to do anything. You can just walk in. So I'm like, I can give opportunity to people. Why, if I can, why shouldn't I? Yeah, obviously you have to weigh up. Can I? Like,
we
still have to pay you to be.
Yeah,
open.
you still have to pay the bills. You're not a charity, so you can't be like,
So yeah, technically, anyone could come in and not have to buy anything, and they could play. It's not like a thing like that where you have to buy a drink. If you could buy some drinks, it would definitely help pay for the staff who are making this happen. So yeah, doing that it's important to me because I think that without it, the world would be a worse place.
Well, again, it's like.
Does that make sense?
No, well, we're not. Yeah, it does make sense, and like,
yeah.
I will say when I first started going down to your place when you're down in Deptford, the vibe I got there was like, oh, do you know what? This actually feels like an old school record store from the 90s, and it's one of them things that people always talk about. Oh yeah, you go down the record store and there's a community. This is the importance of having places to go and bond over music, as in. All right, yeah, you can do that online. Yeah, you can go into chat rooms online and obviously the social media and all that. But at the same time, just being in a space where you can physically talk to someone or they're just buying a tune, or I've met so many cool people that are now cool friends just from going down there. And yeah, just talking shit over a few beers normally.
Yeah.
But,
it's important.
It's important, and I know you say, like, quite rightly, maybe if they don't, it'd be nice if they buy it. I know it's hard for you to keep this business going, and go all the ins and outs of it, but because a lot of people talk about how much they love vinyl, but not many people, there's not loads of people buy vinyl all the time, do they? In the way that, say, you talked about Godfrey coming in on a Friday. That was my thing in the 90s. I'd spend all my wages on a Friday. I'd get paid and literally spend £100 in the West End. And,
Not many people doing that anymore. It's hard to do that anyway.
It's hard to do that, and obviously times are different and money's different and records are more expensive. But I guess I'd say support. Go down Planet Wax and buy records or buy drinks
or wherever, any record shop.
Yeah.
Go to your local record shop.
Yeah.
And your local record shop probably ain't Planet Wax, so come to Planet Wax.
Yeah.
And that's not even in a big-headed way. What we're doing in there, you can't find that in shops really. Like, you get a little bit here and there, like it's a little section called bass, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, the whole of our shop is in bass. But yeah, and I love vinyl. I've been through that already today on this podcast, but I still love it. I haven't fallen out of love with it. It's something about it that. Just come and pick up. Go if you know someone with records and you haven't got any. Just go and pick one up. Look at it. Even if it hasn't got artwork, it looks beautiful.
Well, you come in and you got this. One thing I should say is we maybe haven't really said this. Like for your record shop. Obviously, yeah, it's a bar and a record shop, but it's new records, but it's also second hand.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of both.
And you can dig into lots of different sort of stuff. I know you think sometimes your shop gets maybe not stereotypes as just sort of jungle drum and bass.
Yeah, it does, yeah, big time.
But you do have a lot more music than that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've still to this day, like for new music at least, we always make sure we represent techno, electro, house, garage, jungle, drum and bass and hardcore is what we breathe, and it does pump in our veins. Yeah. As does the other stuff, but maybe not as much. Obviously, we are UK based. And them genres we're referring to are very UK. We come from the UK originally, so that's why. But yeah, and we all met through drum and bass. Me and Lewis met through drum and bass. So yeah, of course, drum and bass is going to be prominent. But in the second hand racks as well, there's like so much other stuff. Like we've got like lots of like house, techno, trance, gabba. Like everything, like we've even got weirdly, like not weirdly, but like we've got like some rock stuff. Because when you get a collection, when you acquire collections, you're not just going to get, even if it's a drum bass collection. I promise you, if it's a drum bass collection, there's going to be a few hip hop records in there. There might be their dad's
Yeah.
or mum's
Well,
Motown record.
You do get a
or-
regular supply of like new stuff in there, don't you? Every week you put in like new second-hand stuff. So
Oh,
I
you
would
should
say-
see this box that came in yesterday, mate.
Oh yeah, what's it got in it?
You'll see.
Oh my god, you can't just say that. What sort of stuff?
It's got like some really good dubstep
Okay.
from
Alright.
like DMZ
Oh,
and Deep Medi, for example.
Anti-ward up. In there?
That's not in there.
Oh
I
mate.
think the guy probably would keep that one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's some really good dubstep coming in at the moment. It's weird. The last 3 collections that I've bought in heavily dubstep, rich with dubstep, let's say, and that kind of Swamp 81
Okay.
sound. So I don't know whether that's becoming something that people are letting go
Well,
at the moment to then weirdly spiritually become popular again. Maybe
Well,
we'll see.
I kind of feel that dubstep is sort of having a little moment again. I think it's coming back again in a little way.
Yeah, there's some
And-
stuff getting repressed as well, which is good to see.
I mean, I've got a lot of them records from the late 2000s, well, mid to late 2000s, and yeah, I've started digging back in them again. Because again, it's like there's definitely sort of like, it's the thing with music, isn't it? To be honest, you don't do it because it's fashionable. You just do because I had this chat with Jason, like Warlock, and we're quite similar in the ways that we've been through every single bloody genre. So it's quite nice. Sometimes you go, oh, do you know what? Like on the radio show last week, I dug into loads of mid-90s techno because suddenly I was, oh yeah, I haven't heard that for a while, and you dig into it. So same with the dubstep, suddenly you're going into it, oh, this is a tune, I forgot about this, oh, this is a tune.
Yeah, I never really got into dubstep. I remember it happening and I liked it, and I've got a few bits and bobs back in the days. But like, it's after it had kind of fizzled out or changed, let's say, it didn't really fizzle out. But it's like now you can see it coming out more, and more people are playing it, younger, and they are now playing the really cool stuff, not what I deem as uncool, like the more noisier stuff.
Well, again, like
going back to the roots again.
No, again, I used to go DMZ parties in Brixton and all that, and I've got all the early DMZs, but that was the sound that I really loved, the real bass, almost the reggae dub influence of that sound system. Dubstep.
Well, that is why it's called dubstep as well. You've got to remember that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a bit like with jungle and hardcore, like drum and bass becoming something quite. Some people struggle to see that they're the same thing, but because it's not having the same soul. So yeah, with dubstep, it became something else. Like I called it earlier, jump up dubstep. There wasn't much dub involved in it, but yeah, I think that's something that's happening now, like a bit of a movement, as well as everything else. Like electro and hardcore, electro and techno, and house was there before, and that it's always evolving and being relevant, and influencing other stuff. So,
what do you think about the market then for because you run a record shop for people buying vinyl? Is like loads of young people buying vinyl? Is it a mixture of ages or like? I
mean, like it's kind of obvious as well, right? The younger generations, the ones that think that vinyl is cool and that they're being exposed to it at this kind of age, they want to buy into it, but they haven't got any money, so they go and buy the cheap bargain stuff, which is very important to have. Without that, they would have no way of getting access to vinyl unless they go to the charity shop and get something rubbish. I don't even want to think of what it would be, or a gem, but they wouldn't know that. But so having these records which are good condition, they might just be £3 or £5 because there's a lot of them. And
well, like, just because a record's £3 doesn't mean it's not an amazing record.
No, and it's a piece of art at the end of the day.
And there's plenty of like £50 records that are pretty rubbish, and like they're expensive
because there's only 5 copies or
exactly,
something.
or it's a big artist, their early release, or all sorts of reasons.
Precisely.
So like the price is not also I know, and so God bless the cheap bin. To be honest, sometimes
that's for the second-hand stuff. With the new stuff, the older crowd will buy records more because they've got more disposable income generally, and a lot of them are maybe had records back in the day. And there's a lot of reissues happens in all music genres, and I get a lot of older gentlemen who come in and they say, "Oh, I'm so glad they've repressed X, Y, and Z. I used to have that and I sold all my records and now I'm trying to buy them all back." That happens a lot. So that market is always going to be there. People rebuying stuff. Then the youngsters who actually do have a bit of money, they'll come in and they'll spend their very hard-earned cash and spend like 15, 20 quid and buy a really good brand new record, or try and save up and buy the original copy of it for 30 quid if it's that, depending on what the market rate is.
Because obviously records are quite expensive now.
I know, yeah.
And you do, and obviously it's not your fault. It's the shop. It's you're charging what you got to charge for the retail and the distributor and all that sort of stuff.
And that's the crazy thing, because with the new music, new releases, our margin is almost non-existent, if I'm honest with you, after you take it into consideration VAT, normal tax, as in just normal corporation tax, the overheads, the cost of sale, by the time, if you were to look at every record, the margins are so narrow that it's stupid for us to do it. Yeah. But without it, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
That's why we're there. We're there because of this culture. Doing the dub plates, and which is getting your music, I forgot to mention that, putting your own music onto a dub, or something that's digitally only that you really want on vinyl, you can copy that onto there legally. It's not illegal. A lot of people think it's illegal. You're just backing it up.
If it's a personal copy of something that you've got, that's fine.
If you buy a song off of iTunes, let's say, you own the right to that song to play it and have it, right? You're allowed to, by the same law that you're allowed to put it onto a tape or a cassette or a USB stick, you can put it onto vinyl.
Yeah.
So technically you are allowed to do it, as long as you're not selling it on, So yeah, doing the dub plate culture, which is something that is how these music scenes really, especially the jungle and hardcore, started, is a culture that is needed to be kept alive, because if without it you lose that, and if you start losing foundations, things become very different in a bad way. I
guess this is what I'd say, because you get a lot of praise, don't you? People love your store, and I talk to a lot of people who love it, but I guess what I'd say is, you really got to support, like you said, not just Planet Wax, but support your record stores, because otherwise they won't be there. Yeah. So that means going in them, because as much as you can go, I love vinyl, I love this, and I love the culture, and it's like, all right, well, get down there and support it.
Yeah, I do.
Because one day it might not be there, and then people be going, oh, how come this is gone? And it's like, well, when was the last time you went in there, mate? And I will say, you're busy. It's not like you don't have people going in there, but I think without going into overheads and stuff like, too much detail, I know it's, you're surviving and you're doing okay, but it's not easy doing the business that you do. There's plenty of, if you wanted to make
stop selling records,
if you want to make some decent money, you probably would do a business that doesn't involve selling vinyl records, and this is, you're doing it for the love and the passion and the community, and which is the real reason to do stuff. But I'm just saying to people, go and support it.
Yeah, do.
Please do. Otherwise, you'll see this man back in Waitrose.
Maybe
not in Waitrose. They've had enough of him over the years in Waitrose.
But it's funny because we had a meeting with our accountant about a year ago, and he said, he goes, you guys need to stop selling records, basically. Otherwise, you're going to be doomed.
Okay.
So we haven't stopped, but we've changed the way we're doing it.
Okay.
But we're still struggling. And this isn't even a plead for anything. We just want to do it. We just love it. And ultimately, if the market becomes super bad and we can't do it anymore, then we'll just change what we do there. We've got a lovely space that we can. Yeah. Now we've got a community there. We can do other stuff.
I mean, you have some amazing nights down there. You have everyone play there. Like I said, from some. I was down there one of the open deck nights. It was like some 16-year-old playing his first ever set, and he was sort of loving it. You have everyone from there to some really big DJs, don't you? You have all sort of if you like famous people, famous DJs.
I had DJ Crust just rang me up one day and said, "Can I come and play a set at your shop? I'm in London in 2 weeks' time, or whatever. I've got loads of new music. I'd really love to come in there. I love what you're doing." And obviously I had to ring Uncle G and say, "Yo, are you okay to give your set away next Friday?"
I didn't know you had to phone G up.
Well, come on, I'm not just gonna.
No, I know, fair enough.
So I just said to him, I was like, "Yo, do you just let you know that DJ Crust wants to play?" And he was like, "Of course, bruv, of course."
Oh right.
So yeah, and then obviously. That was brilliant, and he came with such lovely energy as well, and I love that about particular people in the they're doing it because they love it, he's been around from the day dot, and he's still there with the same smile and love. That it's the same like people like Ray Keith.
Yeah.
I've met him many times now through Planet Wax, right? And he is not breeding it. He's like he's just everything about him, the energy. I remember him in Black Market Records being exactly the same, and it's just a pure love for the music. You know, I know yes, these guys are making money out of their music. Rightly so, they created it. You can still feel that energy, and that's what keeps.
I know, but I say down in your record store, you're not paying him some big DJ fee. You're not paying any DJ.
Oh
fees. People are playing down your shop, which is
because they love it.
Yeah, because they love it. You know,
they want to be a part of it, and they understand the importance of it. And that's luckily never been a problem. You know, you put out something that people love, and they will come, and that's why we do it.
Yeah.
And all of these. I know I spent a lot of time going through the different things I've done in my life, and that all to do with my creative, let's say, because there's a graphic design. Because every single one of them things I mentioned led me to today because of them things, and they're very important to me. And I did have to spend quite a lot of time. We were talking about doing this for a while now, this podcast.
Exactly, yeah.
And I've been going through a lot of like memory issues and stuff, which I'm going through, and appreciate the time you gave me the freedom to just be able to work it all out, because otherwise this could have been a very quick, boring.
No, it's fine.
Little ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything you want to add in about Planet Wax before we finish it up today?
I mean, like, not really.
Any points you want to make or anything?
Like, as you say, just support. Come in and just be a part of it, because I feel like, you can probably buy the same music on Discogs and on online retailers.
Yeah.
It's not just about that. It's about discovering the music, meeting friends, linking up with people, creating stuff. So like, you can come there and you might meet someone who you never thought you'd meet, didn't know you was going to meet, and you could end up making something that you never could have imagined. It's already happened. People have made relationships, like loving ones, like romantic ones, but also musical relationships. People have come to Open Decks and put on their own events at Planet Wax, and packed the place out and created such a buzz. And for that to be able to happen in that space is something that in 20 years' time, I feel that people are going to refer to. And I think now is the time for everyone who wants to be a part of it to get involved, because
I always say
magical.
Amazing. I always say this as well, because people look back and they go, "Oh yeah, this was amazing 20 years ago," and me and Jason had this chat on the podcast we did, saying about how it's important as well. As much as you go in these nostalgic sort of things, which everyone does, that's great, but sometimes you have to appreciate what's going on now.
Today,
Yeah, and I will say that one of the things, that I will say is that people look back on, and hopefully you're there many years, and so I'm not saying.
I hope so.
But what I'm saying is, one of the things people look back on, go, "Oh, you remember when we used to go down to Planet Wax, and we were there, and Uncle G was down there, or like I meant so and so, or there was these nights going on." It's a real place that again feels like an old school place, but with it's obviously it's not stuck in the past as well. It's got loads of things that maybe the older record shops wouldn't have done. But appreciate it now while it's there and support it,
Totally,
because what you're doing, it is really special down there,
I feel it as well, and the thing is, I obviously see it from a very internal angle.
Yeah.
Whereas people come to me and they tell me how important it is, and I feel it, but I don't notice it as in the same way as say you would. Your perspective.
Yeah.
But I've started to let myself go a little bit out of body, essentially, and look at it from an outsider's perspective, and I'm like, yes, it is so important. And I remember from the crowdfunder video we did, I said, let's write some history, and I feel like we've already started doing that.
Yeah.
And like you say, don't wait until it's finished to be involved, because it won't last forever. We hope it will be a while.
Well, hopefully 20 years you're still going, but
my daughter's behind the bar.
Well, it might be.
Or spin all behind the decks, hopefully.
Again, if you watch this video and you're in South London and you would pop into Planet Wax and say hello to the crew and say hello to Dexta.
Big yellow.
Say Dexta here, yeah, I mean, I think that's,
Cool,
should we finish after that? Is there anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I just want to say, massive big up to everyone who's given me an opportunity from any point in my life, really, because whether I show it or not, it is very appreciated inside, and I wouldn't be here today doing it without all of you in your little or large ways. And there's too many people to start listing off as big ups and shout outs and such. I've mentioned people already. Obviously, currently, big up to everyone who's working at Planet Wax or working behind the scenes at Planet Wax. Obviously, yourself, the people who are there behind the bar, on the radio doing the residencies, the DJs who come in and play there, the promoters who come on and put on their nights, the record labels involved, the artists and producers and record labels who are still producing vinyl and bringing it into the shop or letting us know where we can get it from. It's all for you and by you, and big up, because I love to be a part of it. I'm so happy. So big up and thank you.
All right. Do you know what? It's lucky that I think it's a good job that your mum bought that packet of cereal back in the day. Who knows where you'd been if she had bought I don't know, Cocoa Pops with the
crunchy nut.
Yeah, there we go. All right, but cheers, mate. Thanks for coming down today.
Nice one, bro.
Respect.